know. So once again, I'm athletic trainer up in the Healthplex, also strength and conditioning specialist. I've got experience working with patients from the very young to the very old, elite athletes to geriatric, everybody in between. So like I said, any questions at any time, feel free to just stop me and let me know. So first thing we do when we're starting an exercise program, you should always have some sort of goal in mind. And some people say, well, I'm just going to walk more. I'm going to work out 3 days a week. Well, okay, but how do you gauge? To me, that's easier to slack off and not necessarily stick to your goals. That's why this is a little thing that I've come across is the SMART principle. Goals should be specific. So if you say, I'm going to work out 3 days a week, it should be, I'm going to walk for 15 minutes a day, 3 days a week. Measurable, that 15 minutes. Or I'm going to walk 2 miles. I'm going to run 3 miles. Once again, measurable. Attainable. So for some people, walking 15 minutes is going to be an extremely difficult task. For some people, it's going to be extremely easy. So it just kind of depends on the person, making sure it's something you can attain. Reasonable and timely. So I kind of relate to, someone says, hey, I want to go out and do an Ironman, yet they've never ran a 5K. You might want to start with the 5K first before you get to the Ironman. Not to discourage anyone, but you want to just make it reasonable and timely. So, and it's important to readdress these goals later on. And sometimes it helps to write these down. It doesn't have to be anything formal, just a piece of notebook paper, you stick it on your fridge. Okay, in 6 weeks I will have done X amount of minutes of exercise or something of that sort. I mean, there's no concrete right or wrong, it's just kind of whatever works for you. One thing too is we all have fitness buddies, we have friends that are into fitness, but sometimes we get caught up with trying to compete with that person or compete with our friend. You know, Robin was talking about her Fitbit buddy while she's trying to keep up with Kendall Lee, and you know, maybe Kendall Lee makes fitness gains at different rates than Robin does, which is completely normal. Not everybody makes fitness gains at the same rate, in the same places, and some people can do the exact same workout and eat the exact same type of food and everything, and some people just make more progress than others. That's just the way we were put together, and there's really nothing we can do about that. So I always tell people, compete with yourself, and I kind of relate it to my golf game. You hit a bad shot in golf, but I went forward. Hey, forward is good. So anything with exercise, if you know, we're going to have days we don't feel like exercising. We're going to have days where we don't feel like doing a whole lot. But the important thing is to push through that and get moving forward. And anything moving forward is better than standing still. So once again, I touched on different people make different fitness gains. Keep a diary/journal and reward yourself. And some people, this reward can be, you know, going out with a friend for a nice dinner. Sometimes these rewards are buying yourself a new pair of shoes, or maybe spending a day shopping in downstate or something like that. Once again, the rewards are up to you, but keep it on a regular basis too. You know, and it's kind of a little pick me up too, because often we see where we want to be and we see where we are now, and we feel like it's such a long journey to get there. And I feel like breaking it into smaller goals along the way, even if those rewards aren't as great, still you're getting the health benefits, which is a reward in itself, because if you ain't got your health, you really don't have anything in life. So that's kind of a model that my dad has instilled in me, is if you ain't got your health, you ain't got nothing. So reward yourself. Like I said, different rewards are for different people. So everybody says stretch. Oh, I'm going to stretch to warm up. Think, instead of stretching to warm up, you need to warm up to stretch. If you think of your muscles like a brand new rubber band, and you take that rubber band and you stretch it out and you let it go, it goes right back to where it was. If you take that rubber band and you stretch it and you relax it and you move it and maybe put it over a little bit of heat and kind of get it loosened up, you know, eventually you'll notice, hey, I can move this a lot easier. Same thing with your muscles. So, you know, do some light jogging or some marching in place, you know, even, you know, bringing your heels up. I think that all helps to promote more blood flow to our muscles and increase the temperature of our muscles, which is the whole point of the warm-up. When our muscle temperature is higher, we operate more efficiently and a lot smoother and less likely to sustain an injury. So, you know, marching in place, feel the stretch where you should feel it. So I've done my marching, I've done my, okay, let's say I want to stretch my hamstrings. You know, there's a few different ways you can do it. One of the easiest ways I find is just to prop up on a chair and bring your toe up and think about, okay, if I'm doing this and I'm feeling pain in my back or pain in my shoulder or pain in my ankle with this, that's probably a sign either you need to make a modification for that stretch, or maybe you're doing it incorrectly. So make sure you understand what you want to stretch. So I want to stretch the back of my leg. So if I go like this and I'm not feeling it back here, then chances are, like I said, either I'm doing it incorrectly or I should make a modification. Sometimes that modification can be as simple as, putting one foot in front of you and stretching like that. Once again, just focus on the hamstrings. There's thousands of stretches for all the muscles in your body. It's just kind of a demo for one. It should be a good hurt. So it hurts. It's a little uncomfortable, but it also feels good. And hold it for at least 20 seconds. In order to get any physiological benefit from the stretching, you need to have at least 20 seconds of a stretch on there, or else our tissue goes right back to its resting length. So, and stretch before and after. So once again, stretching before activity, but do your warm-up before stretching. And after activity, do a cool down, so you're kind of slowing your body rate down. We'll get to warm up and cool down a little bit further down the line here, but then stretching afterwards. Stretching afterwards helps to reduce muscle soreness and kind of helps our muscles recover from the activity that we're doing. So, moving on, shoes. Everybody wants to know what's the best shoe for me. What's the best brand of shoe? The best shoe for you is as different as the people in this room. I mean, whatever works for you. One thing to pay attention to is the type of shoe, not necessarily the brand or anything like that, but number one is getting a shoe designed for walking or for exercise. And not, a lot of people slip on their Crocs and they're going to go walk. Well, for some people those work, but for some people they'll wear those Crocs and that will actually cause them more pain. So I'm not knocking anybody that wears Crocs in here. It's just an example I threw out there. So the best type of shoe depends on your foot type. So some people that have a higher arch, and if you're not sure if you have a high arch, low arch, one good way to do it is to get your feet wet in the bathtub and step on a towel and look at the outline of your foot. If the outline of your foot looks kind of like a triangle with a bunch of dots, chances are you have more of a flat foot and you would benefit from a shoe that's a little bit more straight. When I say straight, I mean the shoes that you look at the bottom of the shoe and the top sometimes will curve, the toe box will curve a little bit. You want one that doesn't have a whole lot of curve to it. So you look for a straighter shoe. In my experiences, New Balance tend to be a little bit more of a straight shoe. I know Brooks is a little bit more straight shoe, but all these companies have countless different models of shoes. So it's important to, when you go to a store, try on 6, 8, 10 different pair, and that way you get the best feel and you make sure you got ones that fit your feet correctly. So every 6 months or 500 miles, obviously if we wear the shoes once a week for 30 minutes, I don't think you need to replace them every 6 months. But for runners and even walkers, about every 500 miles or so, after that, the shoe has lost a lot of its support. The shoes may not look like they need to be replaced, but chances are if the bottom of your shoes are pretty smooth, you don't have a whole lot of grip left, even though they may still be comfortable, you should probably start thinking about replacing those shoes. A couple things to keep in mind too with shoes. If your feet feel good and then all of a sudden, over the course of time, you start to get a little more achy, a little more sore, in your feet and your ankles especially, or your back, think about replacing those shoes if you can. So, a little bit of posture too. We see a lot of people, they're walking their heads down and they're kind of doing one of these numbers. Make sure chest high, like our mothers always yelled at us when we were young, have proper posture. So chest high, arms swing, move your shoulders naturally. You will see people that walk in the mall or they're doing this thing. No offense to those people, you can do that if that's what works for you, but proper posture, most of us practice this when we're walking, head up, shoulders up, chest high. It also helps us take in more oxygen and use that oxygen more efficiently when you have proper posture. So walk smoothly, rolling your foot from heel to toe. Most of us do this without even thinking about it, but some of us have had a knee surgery or a hip surgery or back surgery. Sometimes the way we walk is thrown off a little bit. So once again, make sure you tighten your abdominal muscles too. If you tighten your abdominal muscles, that helps to stabilize that low back and protect it and kind of keep it in a safe position. So some people say, well, I don't know how intensely I should exercise. Well, one thing I learned is a 2-hour pain rule. If you have pain for more than 2 hours after your activity, then chances are you either, like I said, did something incorrectly, or maybe the exercise was a little bit too intense for you. I always recommend people start off a little bit lighter than you think you would. because you may not feel anything now, but 24 to 48 hours later, when peak muscle soreness sets in, you may be like, oh my God, I can't get out of bed. We see this a lot in people that they haven't done anything for a while. They go, oh, I'm going to run 4 miles. Oh, I ran 4 miles. I felt great. Oh, but the next day, it hurt to get out of bed. Well, that's one of those things where take that in mind, how you're going to feel 24 to 48 hours later. Talk test. So those of us that are walking or have walking buddies, when I did an arthritis walking program here a few weeks ago, that was our test. Is could you carry on a normal conversation with the partner that you're walking with? Or if you're by yourself, some of us like to say, hey, we need to work out on our own. We put the earphones in. You should be able to sing your favorite song comfortably without getting out of breath. So after exercise, make sure you cool down. 5 to 10 minutes of slower walking. Walking is the only form of cool down. Some people will take a nice easy bike ride for 5 to 10 minutes. Just allows your heart rate to slow down and return to normal. It helps reduce some muscle soreness. And stretching after you cool down is important, like I said, further helping to reduce that muscle soreness, and also holding each stretch for about 45 seconds. You want to hold it for a little bit longer after you're done, so that way you really allow that muscle to cool down and get a good stretch and reduce some of that muscle soreness. So that's really all I have. Any questions or anything like that on exercise intensity, fitness, anything like that?
Could you show us what, like if someone were to start doing a more aggressive walking routine or biking or something, what are some basic stretches that they can do that are smart to do before you start something new or before you start increasing intensity?
Good question.
Okay.
So I showed you the hamstring one earlier. Once again, some people will prefer it like this and feeling a stretch. Notice I have no flexibility, even though I stretch all the time. Another good one that I like is just a quad stretch. So you're here. And for some people, this may be too difficult. So maybe they have to put it up on a chair or something like that. And you feel a stretch there, that's okay. We've all seen the runner stretch against the wall. Now with this one, I recommend doing it with your knee bent and with your knee straight. When you do it with your knee bent, it actually stretches all the little muscles that move your toes and your foot and all that stuff. So, in addition to stretching the calf muscles. So, the hip flexor stretch. So, once again, the hip flexors, as human beings, we sit, a lot. We sit at our desks. We get in our cars to come here. We sit. We work. Some of us work at a desk, so we sit all day. We get home and we sit down at dinner. We sit down to watch TV. We sit all day long. Not everybody, but a lot of us do. So when that happens, you get a lot of these muscles in the front of your hip flexors get extremely tight. And that can cause low back pain and things that often a lot of the low back issues are resulted from tight hip flexors. So a simple one for stretching the hip flexor muscle is just a staggered stance. There's a couple different ways you can do it. One, you can just lean back, making sure you're keeping your shoulders and hips straight forward. Sometimes that's a little bit too aggressive, so sometimes people will actually just bend that front knee. Either way is correct. It's just a matter of what works for you. But that's just a few basic lower extremity stretches.
What about like the plantar fascia stretch with the wall?
That's a
Sure,
good
you
one.
are waking up some foot muscles.
There you go. So what Ben's talking about is the plantar fascia on the bottom of your foot. It basically supports the whole underside of the foot. Oftentimes we get walking and everything, we start to have this pain in the bottom of our foot, and it can be quite painful. So one good stretch for that is to get your foot up against the wall. I'll demo this in a couple different ways. Get your foot up against the wall like that or off a step, and you can drop that heel down. You really feel that stretch on the bottom of your foot. Some of you didn't see that. Basically, I'm up here, and you're still leaning forward a little bit to really stretch out the bottom of that foot. Like I said, those muscles on the bottom of the foot get tight, and it gets painful. That's how we get that plantar fasciitis, which anybody that's had plantar fasciitis knows it doesn't go away easily. It's a pretty stubborn injury. So, like I said, you can do it off of a step as well. I know I kind of ran through things kind of quickly. Any questions? Anything that doesn't make sense? Want me to repeat anything?
No questions?
What makes the muscles sore?
What makes
That's
the
a very
muscle
good
sore? Good question. Here's my exercise physiology quiz right in the spot. No. when we exercise, our muscles are working, and when our muscles work as a waste product, they produce lactic acid. Lactic acid is basically a byproduct of the whole process of muscle contraction and relaxation. And when we do more muscle contraction and relaxation than we are used to, sometimes the muscles produce extra lactic acid, and that's what causes the muscle soreness. Now, when we stretch, those muscles that you're stretching, when the muscles are stretched like that, it helps to kind of eat up some of that plantar fascia. I'm getting all confused here. They eat up that lactic acid, and then they use that as kind of a fuel to work. So that's what causes muscle soreness.
How about rules of exercising? So if someone's doing something more than walking, and they're trying to do some maybe some weight kind of exercises, or maybe the squat type exercises, things where they're toning muscle, what are some general rules to follow as far as extending different things?
I mean, that's a good question, but it's also a tough question to ask because it all depends on the individual person. Like I said, some people have previous history of back injuries, knee injuries, or some people, aren't really sure where to start. So I always tell people that, talk to your doctor first, make sure your doctor has okayed you for your exercise program. But then that's where it comes in handy, getting someone with exercise science background, a personal trainer, or even talking to other exercise and health professionals about some exercises. One of the most basic things that I've found, though, that almost everybody we take for granted is our ability to balance. The ability to stand on one leg and balance. I mean, it sounds silly, and a lot of people take it for granted, and they laugh, oh, haha, I don't have good balance. Balance is one of our most basic forms of strength, and if we balance better, it increases our ability to stand on our feet longer, to go up and down stairs, walking. Because if you think about it, when you're in this position balancing, it's also the same position when you're walking, when you're going up and down stairs, and things like that. So I always start with just some very basic balance exercises like that. And like I said, then from there, it all depends on the individual person. So it's not trying to get around the question, but I guess there's no cookie cutter answer to that question.
Okay. Anybody else? Well, thank you, Matt.